What happens when a CEO watches a kitchen rush from the inside and sees the manager skip food safety just to beat the clock? Darren Dorsey stood outside the back door of Store 6, adjusting his fake beard and wiping sweat off his brow. The disguise was solid greased-up ball cap, beige kitchen shirt, fake ID clipped to his chest that read Rick. No one in this store had ever met him. He'd bought the company 6 years ago from a retired couple who ran just 3 stores. Now there were 10 locations across the state, and this one was the newest, opened only 9 months ago on a busy strip. But lately, customer reviews had been dipping. Not enough to cause a fire, but enough to light a match. He'd read reports, heard excuses, staffing's tight, new hires are slow, managers doing double shifts. All of that might be true. But Darren didn't run on second-hand truths. He needed his own eyes. District Manager Milo told the team a new trainee was starting today. Said he was sent in from corporate training. That helped cover the lie. Inside, the air was thick with fryer oil and shouting. The kitchen was a blur, tickets piling up, timers going off, cooks yelling. Darren was thrown onto dish duty first, next to a skinny kid named Illy who looked like he hadn't slept in a week. "You knew?" Illy asked, scrubbing a pan hard. "Yeah, Rick, first day," Illy nodded. "Good luck, man, you picked the wrong day, we're down 2 people. "Sam quit yesterday." "Why'd he quit?" Manager flipped out on him in front of a customer, called him a waste of apron. Darren didn't respond, he just kept scrubbing. By lunch rush, Darren was reassigned to the kitchen past the narrow counter where food gets checked before going to servers. It was chaos. Manager on duty was a guy named Trent, early 30s, tall, wore Bluetooth earbuds like they were glued in. He barked orders without looking up from his tablet. "Rick, you're on Expo now, check tickets, call runners, if it looks fine, send it." Darren nodded. "Got it." He started calling dishes, pairing plates with tickets. Then he noticed something. A grilled chicken sandwich sat under the heat lamp. The ticket said no tomato. But the sandwich had tomato. He set it aside. "Trent," Darren called, "this one's got tomato, but it says it's fine." "Send it." "But the guest, it's fine," Trent snapped, not looking up. "We'll fix it if they send it back. We don't have time to nitpick." Darren stared at him. "But it's wrong." Trent walked over, eyes sharp. "You want this line to crash, we're already 20 minutes behind." "Send the damn sandwich." Darren didn't move. "Rick," I said, the server, a short woman named Nadia, leaned in. "I can just take it. Guest still waiting." Darren handed it off, stomach twisting. Then it got worse. A plate of chicken tenders sat there for 5 minutes. Trent waved it through. "It's been sitting," Darren said. "It's cold." "Not my problem. Get it out." "But you a chef now," Trent barked. "You're a trainee, do what I say." Darren's jaw clenched. He wasn't used to this, not being listened to, not when it was about safety. Then came the breaking point. A rack of raw burger patties was left out near the fryer. Darren noticed it after almost 10 minutes. "Hey, these need to go back in the fridge." Trent walked over, popped one on the grill. "They're still cold. Chill." "They've been sitting. That's not safe." "They're fine," Trent said again. "You're slowing us down with all this food cop stuff." Darren stepped back. He wanted to rip the mask off right there, but he couldn't, not yet, not until he saw more. Later, during a short lull, he pulled Nadia aside. "Does he always cut corners like that?" She hesitated. "Look, I need this job. I try to fix stuff when I can. But yeah, he rushes everything." Once sent out raw wings, said it was the kitchen's fault. Darren asked, "Has anyone talked to corporate?" She laughed bitterly. "He says he knows people, says complaints go nowhere." Darren's chest tightened. He looked around the kitchen, wiping sweat off his face, 2 cooks dragging through prep, a server limping from slipping earlier and still working. They were tired. Overworked. No one looked proud to be here, except for Nadia. She fixed plates quietly. She double-checked everything. She offered to run food herself when runners were behind. She even grabbed a mop during a spill. Darren made a mental note. Back in the break room, he pulled off his cap and stared at the wall. He had a problem. A serious one. And the next day, he was coming back with a plan. Darren returned the next morning without the fake beard. He'd shaved, tucked his ball cap deeper and switched to a pair of thick-rimmed glasses. Still Rick, still a trainee, but this time he wasn't just there to observe. He was there to trace the damage. He clocked in just after 8. The store wasn't open yet, but the back of house was already grinding. A prep cook named Angela stood slicing tomatoes with headphones in, eyes sunken, fingers moving on autopilot. Darren stepped beside her and rinsed lettuce at the next sink. "You always start this early," Angela paused her blade. "When I open, yeah. Manager says if we don't get prep done before the doors open, the line gets jammed." "You get paid for this time?" She gave him a look, then turned back to the tomatoes. In dry storage, 2 boxes of thawing ground beef sat on the floor, sweating in their plastic. Darren grabbed one and brought it to the walk-in cooler. Inside, shelves were half-labeled, half-mess. Raw and cooked meats stacked near each other, no clear separation. He took mental note and walked out. Trent strolled in a few minutes later, earbud in one ear, messaging on his phone with the other hand. He didn't acknowledge anyone, just started rattling off assignments like a drill sergeant with somewhere better to be. "Angela, knock out onions next. Rick, you're on fryer this morning. Illy, you're filling sauces. Let's move." Darren moved through the motions. He didn't push back, not yet. He just watched. Trent rarely stayed in one place for more than 2 minutes. He barked instructions while pacing, kept his eyes on his phone more than the line, and never once washed his hands between tasks. At 10:30, the first guests arrived. Nadia was already in position, tying her apron and checking the register drawers. When she spotted Darren, she gave a small nod and went back to her checklist. By 11, the storm began. Darren worked the fryer. He watched Trent skip the line to dump frozen wings into hot oil with bare hands. He watched him tap on the POS screen to override a ticket time, changing it from 21 minutes to 12 so the system wouldn't flag it as late. No one said anything. They just kept moving. At 11:30, a runner named Marcus dropped a tray of drinks near the pickup window. Ice scattered. Marcus looked at Trent. "I'll mop it." Trent didn't even glance up. "Leave it. Floor's already wet. Just don't fall." Marcus grabbed napkins and tried to blot up the mess. A few minutes later, a busser nearly slipped. Darren stepped in, grabbed the mop himself. As he cleaned, he overheard a conversation between Trent and another cook, a woman named Jessa. She was mid-40s, sharp eyes, quiet voice. She leaned in, speaking low. "That burger's pink. You're not sending it, right?" Trent didn't even look. "Press it longer." "I'm not wasting another patty." "It's not safe," she asked for medium. "If she gets medium rare, she'll live." Jessa turned to redo the burger anyway. Darren watched her, then Trent. He'd seen enough. After lunch, he stepped outside with Nadia during her short break. She leaned against the brick wall, sipping water. "How long's Trent been managing here?" Darren asked. "Since this place opened. Came from another location, heard he got bumped up real fast." "Why?" "They said he saved a store from shutting down. Cut labor hours, boosted ticket times, impressed the district manager. I don't know. He runs things tight, but it's not sustainable." "You ever thought about leaving?" "I've been here 3 years, since before the expansion. I helped train people when new stores opened. I care about this place." "That's the problem." Darren nodded once. Back inside, dinner prep began. A woman with dark circles under her eyes came in halfway through the shift. Her name tag said Lee. She moved stiffly, not meeting anyone's eyes. Darren hadn't seen her yesterday. She grabbed a headset from the side station and clipped it on. "You good to run drive-through and expo?" Trent said. Lee blinked. "I thought I was on register today. Plans changed. We're short. You can handle it." Darren watched her hesitate, then nod. He moved to help her when the first car pulled up. Over the next 2 hours, Darren helped everywhere expo, fryer, dishes. He watched Jessa quietly redo orders Trent had rushed. He saw Angela get told to skip her break because the line was slammed. She said nothing, just kept slicing. He watched Trent lean against the back counter during a rush to argue with someone on the phone while everyone else scrambled. At 5, a man in a pressed shirt and clipboard walked in through the front. He introduced himself to Trent as a health inspector. Darren watched Trent tense, then briskly walk him through the kitchen, talking fast, answering questions before they were fully asked. The inspector opened the walk-in. Darren saw his expression change. Trent stepped in close. "We had a delivery issue this morning. That's why things aren't labeled yet. I was just about to fix it." Darren caught Jessa's eyes. She was watching too. Her jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The inspector made notes, nodded, and said he'd return next week for follow-up. After he left, Trent pulled everyone into the back. "Listen up. That guy's coming back. We need this place spotless by then. Label everything. Hide the thawing meat. If anyone gets a call from corporate, you didn't see anything wrong. Got it?" Nobody responded. He looked at Marcus. "You got that?" Marcus nodded slowly. Darren stepped forward. "What happens if someone tells the truth?" Trent narrowed his eyes. "Then they'd better be okay finding another job." Silence. Darren's voice stayed calm. "Not a great way to keep good people." Trent squared up. "You got something to say, Rick?" Darren didn't answer. He just walked to the office door, knocked once, then stepped inside and shut it behind him. He pulled off his glasses, closed the door gently, and dialed Milo. "Milo, it's Darren. Get down here. Now." 15 minutes later, Milo arrived. Trent was called into the office. Darren stood behind the desk now, arms folded. Milo leaned against the file cabinet. Trent froze when he entered. "Why's he in here?" he asked, pointing at Darren. Darren spoke without raising his voice. "Because I own this company." Trent stared, blinking, then scoffed. "This is a joke." "No. The joke is how you've been running this store. I've seen everything, every cut corner, every ignored safety rule, every moment you undercut your team to make numbers look better." Trent stepped back. "You said you were a trainee." "I said what I needed to see the truth." Trent looked at Milo. "You knew about this?" Milo didn't answer. Darren continued. "You're done here, effective immediately." Trent's face twitched. "You can't fire me without cause." "I have more than enough cause. You endangered customers, disrespected staff, and created a hostile work environment. I don't need a court case to know you don't belong in a leadership role." Security walked Trent out. He didn't protest again. Darren walked out into the kitchen. The team stood quietly, watching him. He raised his voice just enough. "Trent's gone. Effective now. This store has been under pressure, and I saw that pressure firsthand. Some of you have been holding this place together when everything was stacked against you. That ends today." He turned to Angela. "You're getting a paid break, now." Then to Jessa. "I want you to help retrain the line. You've been doing it already, unofficially." He looked at Marcus. "You're getting safety training and a raise, starting this week." Finally, he looked at Nadia. "You should be running this store. You've earned it. If you're willing, I want to promote you." She didn't speak right away. When she did, her voice was quiet. "If that means we do it right, I'm in." Darren nodded. He stepped back, looked around the kitchen. "I got disconnected. That won't happen again. I'll be here, watching, helping, making sure this place becomes what it was meant to be." No one clapped. No one cheered. But for the first time in 2 days, people stood a little taller. The next morning was quieter, not calm, just quieter. The tension hadn't lifted, it had shifted. People moved with cautious energy, like they were waiting to see if things would really change or if yesterday had just been a show. Darren arrived just after 7. No disguise this time. He wore a plain button-down, sleeves rolled, clipboard under one arm. He didn't make announcements or call meetings. He just walked straight in through the back and started checking storage. Angela was already there, chopping onions with her eyes half closed and a tissue tucked into her sleeve. She didn't look up. "You're early," Darren said, setting the clipboard down on the prep counter. "Always am," she said, voice low. "No one's getting written up for being late today. If you're tired, you can go home early later." She kept working. "Won't matter if prep's not done. We'll sync by lunch. You're not the only one prepping today." He walked out without another word. In the break room, Milo was waiting with 2 assistant managers from other stores. One of them, Carla, was assigned temporarily to help stabilize the team. She was sharp, steady, and had run one of the top-performing locations for the last year. "I want you shadowing the floor but not running it," Darren told her. "Nadia makes the calls. You're just there to back her up if she needs it." Carla nodded. Understood. Darren looked at Milo. What's the staffing plan? We're still short 2 runners and a dishwasher. I've got HR pulling backups from other stores, but no one's available until Monday. Then no one's skipping breaks. I'll wash dishes if I have to. When he stepped back onto the floor, the line was already warming up. Jessa was checking the grill temps, quietly reorganizing the spice bins. She gave a small nod as he passed, then turned back to her station. He found Nadia by the register, adjusting the schedule board with a dry erase marker. "Morning," he said. She didn't look away from the board. "I moved Marcus to Expo for the afternoon. He's stronger there. Carla's paired with Lee up front. Angela's still on prep, but I'm pulling her off at 2. Good," she paused. "I'm not used to people listening when I say how shifts should run. You earned this, you call it. If someone pushes back, send them to me." She nodded once, erased a line on the board, and wrote in her own name under shift lead. By 10:30, the first guests trickled in. Carla stayed near the front, helping Lee juggle orders and double-checking the register. Orders moved more slowly than usual, but cleaner. The kitchen ran tight, not fast. Darren stayed off the line until lunch rush hit. Then he stepped in, taking over the fry station without fanfare. The oil was already at temp. He loaded baskets, watched timers, and kept silent. Marcus worked beside him, calling out tickets with better rhythm than yesterday. "I didn't know you could cook," Marcus said, glancing over. "I can follow instructions." "You're the one keeping pace. Feels different in here." "How so?" "No one's yelling." "Is that good or bad?" Marcus cracked a small smile, still deciding. By noon, the rush built heavy. The line moved steady but slow, and some guests were getting impatient. Carla caught a man at the counter starting to raise his voice about a delayed burger. She stepped in fast, calm but firm. "I can check the kitchen for you, but we won't serve anything underdone. If you'd rather not wait, I can offer a refund." The man hesitated, then nodded. She handled it, returned to the counter, and kept moving. Darren noticed something at the pass. A plate was returned wrong side. It should have been mashed, not fries. Jessa didn't say anything, just quietly remade the order herself. Darren walked over. "You shouldn't have to fix someone else's mistake without saying something." She kept working. "I'd rather fix it than argue about it." "You won't have to argue, not anymore." She paused long enough to glance over. "We'll see." At 2, Angela finished prep and sat down in the break room. Darren brought her a bottled water and leaned against the wall. "Take the rest of the day off. You've done enough." "I'd rather stay. Being home's not much better." He didn't press. Just nodded once and left her to rest. By 4, the shift hit a lull. Lee leaned on the counter, rubbing her temples. Carla approached and handed her a protein bar. "You didn't eat all day." Lee shook her head. "I'm fine." "You're shaking." "I'm just tired." Carla looked at her closer. "When's the last time you had a full day off?" Lee hesitated. "Week and a half ago." "Go sit down for 30 minutes. I'll cover the headset." "What if it gets busy?" "I'll manage." Lee didn't argue. She stepped into the break room and sat down, hands trembling slightly. Darren watched from the side, then walked over to Carla. "How's she doing?" "She's burnt. Probably been holding this place together longer than we knew. We'll get her a few days off. Paid." "I'll write the request." As dinner traffic built, the team kept pace. Nadia floated between stations, not barking orders but watching, adjusting, pulling people where they were strongest. She caught a missed ticket before it could delay a table. She walked a plate out herself when a runner fell behind. She didn't raise her voice once. At 7, a woman in a blazer and heels walked in alone. She sat near the window, ordered a salad, and ate slowly. Darren didn't recognize her, but she watched the floor like someone taking notes. He approached her after her check was paid. "Everything all right with your meal?" She looked up. "You're the owner." "I am. I'm with the hospitality audit team. I wasn't scheduled to visit until next month, but I saw some reviews I wanted to verify myself." Darren didn't blink. "And?" Service was slower than chain standard, but cleaner, more attentive. Staff seemed tired but focused. The manager on duty wasn't showy, just present. "That's Nadia. She got promoted yesterday. She's got potential. Your issue wasn't staff, it was leadership." I know. The woman stood, gathered her things. Keep this direction. I'll file a preliminary report, but it won't be negative. He watched her leave, then turned back toward the kitchen. Later that night, after the kitchen was scrubbed down and the last guest left, Darren gathered the team near the break room. No speech, no clipboard. Just people standing in a loose circle, exhausted but upright. I'm not going to tell you everything's fixed. It's not. But today was different, because of you. He looked at each face: Angela, Jessa, Marcus, Lee, Carla, and finally Nadia. You didn't just survive the shift, you ran it. You made it better. Nadia spoke, voice low but clear. If we keep doing it right, we need backup. This pace isn't sustainable, you'll get it. Starting Monday, we're pulling in 2 temps and interviewing permanent hires. And no one here is losing hours to make room for them. Angela crossed her arms. You sticking around? I'll be here every day this week. After that, I'll still check in. But this store answers to Nadia now, and I trust her. There was no applause, but no one left. People lingered. Cleaned a little slower. Sat a little longer in break room chairs. The shift was over. But the work had just begun. 3 weeks passed before Darren returned to store 6 without the clipboard. This time, he entered through the front door. No disguise, no fanfare. The dining room was half full, families eating quietly, 2 students hunched over laptops near the window, and a couple waiting by the counter for their takeout. The atmosphere had changed. The sharp edge, the tension that clung to the walls like grease, was gone. Not replaced with cheer, but steadiness. That mattered more. He stepped up to the counter where a new hire named Raffi was walking a trainee through the register. Raffi didn't recognize him. The trainee was focused, asking questions, hitting the wrong button twice. Raffi stayed patient, pointing without taking over. Darren waited until they were done, then leaned in. Is Nadia here? Raffi turned. Back office. I can let her know you're here, no rush. He stepped aside and watched instead. Lee walked briskly behind the counter with a headset clipped to her side, moving between stations with practiced rhythm. Her steps looked steadier now, her eyes clearer. She handed a cup to a waiting customer, then turned to double-check the screen before calling the next order. No waste, no rush. He waited near the drink station, watching the floor work. The kitchen was moving at a controlled pace. Carla wasn't there anymore. She'd rotated back to her home store after helping stabilize the transition, but the structure she'd helped reinforce was holding. Jessa was at the grill, flipping patties with one hand while checking the internal temperature with a probe thermometer. She didn't look up, didn't need to. She was in control of her station. Nadia appeared from the back, wiping her hands on a towel. She didn't smile when she saw Darren, but her jaw unclenched just slightly. I figured we'd see you again eventually. I said I'd check in. You picked a good day. Health inspector came this morning. How'd it go? He walked the cooler, pulled 3 random tickets, checked the logs. Said it was the cleanest audit he's done this quarter. You surprised? No, but I didn't expect it to feel like a win. Darren followed her to the side near the drink machine where it was quieter. You look tired, he said. I am, but it's different now, not the kind that wears you down. The kind that tells you the day meant something. You still short-staffed, down 1 runner. He moved to another store last week, said he wanted slower pace and less weekend shifts. I helped him file the transfer. You handle that alone? No, Marcus stepped up. He's running floor training now. I pair him with any new hires. He's good at explaining things without making people feel stupid. Darren nodded. What about Jessa? She won't take a title, but she's doing the work. She's rewritten half the prep manual. She said if she has to train people, she's doing it her way. She earned that. Nadia folded her arms. Angela's taking 2 days off a week now. She didn't ask. I made the schedule and didn't leave space for her. She complain? No, but she brought in fresh cut lemons for the tea this morning. Said the bottled concentrate tasted like a headache. She always did have opinions. Nadia glanced toward the kitchen, then back. We're not perfect. We still get bottlenecks when deliveries are late, and I had to send someone home last week for not washing hands after the restroom. But people care now, that's new. Darren looked over the dining room again. You think it'll last? Not unless we protect it. Good people burn out when no one's watching. That's what happened before. Then we keep watching. She nodded once, then stepped away to answer a call from the kitchen. Darren walked to the back on his own. He passed Marcus near the mop sink, showing a new dishwasher how to break down the filter screen. The kid looked 16, maybe 17, and soaked through his shirt. But Marcus didn't rush. He pointed, waited, let the kid try it himself. Inside the walk-in cooler, Darren checked the labels. Every pan was marked. No raw meat near produce. Thermometer logs were clipped to the door. He didn't touch anything. Just looked. When he stepped back out, Lee was waiting by the dish station, wiping down the counter with a rag. You changed the fryer oil early today, he said. It smelled off last night. Didn't want to risk it. Good call. She hesitated. I called out a prep cook 2 days ago for cutting corners. He said I wasn't his boss. What you do? I told him I didn't have to be his boss to care about someone getting sick. Did he fix it? He did, quietly, didn't fight me again. He nodded. You thinking about applying for shift lead? She didn't answer right away. I wasn't. But maybe. Let me know when you're ready. He left her to her station and stepped outside. It was near dusk now. The streetlights were just starting to flicker on. He sat on the edge of the outdoor bench, watching cars pull through the drive-thru slowly, one by one. No horns, no shouting. Milo pulled into the lot and stepped out, carrying a folder. You were right, he said, sitting beside Darren. When we pulled Trent's numbers apart, it was all smoke. Manual overrides, inflated speed metrics, labor cuts that inflated short-term margins. The moment we stopped, everything dropped. But the store didn't. No, it stabilized. Darren took the folder, flipped through it. Labor costs were up slightly, but so were customer satisfaction scores. Repeat visits had increased. Staff turnover was down by almost half. He closed the folder and handed it back. We keep this model. We don't just fix one store and forget the others. You want to rotate Undercover again? No, we train district leads to do it. Real observation, real accountability. No reports from people who have never stood on the line. And if we find another Trent, we deal with it. Fast. Milo stood. You still thinking of expanding? Not until we know this foundation holds. Every new store should feel like this one does now. He watched Milo head back to his car. The lot lights buzzed above. Inside, he could hear a burst of laughter from the kitchen short, real. He didn't look to see who it was. Didn't need to. He stood, stretched his back, and headed toward his car. The job wasn't finished, but now it was finally being done right.